Sometimes, the most satisfying revenge isn't about destroying your enemies, it's about making them watch as you succeed without them. The words hung in the air of my empty office, a quiet declaration of war that only I could hear. I placed the last of my personal items in a cardboard box, a crystal award from last year's design competition, a framed photo of Kate at her high school graduation, and my laptop with the Vision Studio logo I had personally designed 15 years ago. My name is Lauren. I'm 55 years old, and I've just discovered that the two people I trusted most in my life have been plotting to destroy everything I've built. One is Nathan, my protégé, the man I'd mentored since he was a fresh graduate with ambitious dreams and untamed talent. The other is Kate, my adopted daughter, who I raised since she was 13. I suppose I should have seen it coming. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. The late-night meetings I wasn't invited to. The subtle changes in client communications. But when you've spent years building trust, you become blind to betrayal's early warning signs. It started 3 months ago, on a Tuesday evening when most of the staff had already left for the day. I was reviewing the quarterly reports in my office when I caught a glimpse of them through the glass partition, Nathan and Kate, locked in an embrace that was anything but professional. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, leaving a dark stain on the carpet that would never quite come out. But that wasn't what broke me. No, it was the document I found on Nathan's desk the next morning, a detailed plan for my removal from Vision Studio, complete with signatures from board members I'd considered friends. And at the bottom, my daughter's signature, elegant and decisive, just as I'd taught her to be. "You need to understand, Mom," Kate had said during our last real conversation, her voice cold and detached. "This isn't personal. It's just business. Isn't that what you always taught me?" Those words echoed in my mind as I sat in my home office later that night, surrounded by the evidence of my life's work. Photos from company events, awards, press clippings, each one a reminder of what I'd sacrificed everything for. Including, apparently, my daughter's love. My sister Diana had warned me years ago. "Lauren, you're so focused on building a legacy, you're forgetting to build relationships." She was right, of course. But what she didn't understand was that I'd been building that legacy for Kate. Everything, the long hours, the missed family dinners, the failed marriage to Thomas, it had all been for her future. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent 20 years of marriage trying to create something meaningful, something lasting. Thomas had finally had enough 7 years ago. "You're building an empire," he'd said during our last argument, "but you're losing your family in the process." He'd taken his share of the assets and moved to Seattle, leaving me with a teenage daughter who grew more distant with each passing year. And now, as I sat in my home office at 3 a.m., reviewing contracts and legal documents I'd signed over the years, I made several important discoveries. First, I still personally own the trademark to our most successful campaign slogan, "Authentic Vision Forward," which I'd registered under my name 2 years ago. Second, our 4 largest clients had clauses in their contracts that required notification of any significant management changes. And third, neither Nathan nor Kate had ever signed a non-compete agreement. My phone buzzed with a text from Mia, my closest friend and confidant who happened to be a psychological counselor. "You up? Saw your light on." She lived next door, an arrangement that had saved my sanity more times than I could count. "Come over," I texted back. "I need your perspective on something." 10 minutes later, we sat on my back porch, the night air cool against our faces. Mia listened without interruption as I laid out everything, the betrayal, the evidence, the hurt that ran so deep I could barely breathe when I thought about it. "You know what's interesting," she finally said, swirling her wine thoughtfully. "You're not crying. You're not even angry, really. You're calculating." She was right. The initial shock and pain had given way to something else, a cold, clear purpose that felt almost foreign to me. I'd spent years being the nurturing mentor, the supportive mother, the understanding boss. But now, "They think they're writing the end of my story," I said, my voice steady. "But they don't realize, they're just setting up my next chapter." Mia studied me for a long moment. "What are you planning?" I smiled, and for the first time in weeks, it reached my eyes. "They want to push me out because they think I'm past my prime. Too old, too traditional, too maternal." I stood up, walking to the edge of the porch where the moonlight cast long shadows across the garden I never had time to tend. But they're about to learn something about tradition, Mia. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. And what way is that? Patience, I replied, thinking of the documents I'd discovered. Precision. And absolutely no mercy. The next morning, I arrived at the office earlier than usual. Victoria, one of our youngest designers, was already at her desk. She looked up as I passed, her expression a mix of concern and something else, respect, maybe. Or recognition. She'd been watching everything unfold, I realized. They all had. I entered my office and began my day as if nothing had changed. But everything had. In my briefcase were the documents that would set my plan in motion. In my mind were the steps I'd carefully laid out during those sleepless hours. Nathan and Kate thought they were orchestrating my graceful exit. Instead, they were about to become the architects of their own downfall. And I would make sure they had front row seats to watch it happen. Sometimes, revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes, it's about reconstruction, building something so magnificent that those who betrayed you are forced to witness your triumph from the shadows of their own mediocrity. And I was about to give them a master class in both. The board meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m., but I arrived at 9:15 to find Kate already in the conference room. She stood by the window, her posture rigid, staring out at the city below. For a moment, I saw the frightened 13-year-old girl I'd first brought home, all sharp angles and defensive poses. I wondered if you'd come early, she said without turning around. You always taught me to be prepared. I taught you a lot of things, Kate. I set my briefcase on the table. Like loyalty. Trust. Family. She turned then, and the cold smile on her face made my heart ache. Family? Is that what you call working 18-hour days while I ate dinner alone? Missing my school performances because of client meetings? Choosing this company over everything and everyone else? The accusations hit their mark with surgical precision. Each one a carefully preserved grievance, aged like fine poison. I was building a future for us, I started, but she cut me off with a harsh laugh. No, you were building a future for yourself. I was just the prop in your perfect success story. The rescued orphan who'd inherit the empire. She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. But you never asked what I wanted, did you? The door opened before I could respond. Nathan walked in, his expression shifting from confidence to wariness when he saw us both. Am I interrupting something? Nothing that matters anymore, Kate replied, moving to stand beside him. The casual intimacy of their body language felt like a physical blow. My daughter and my protégé, united in their betrayal. The board members filed in gradually, their faces carefully neutral. I recognized the choreography now, they'd all been prepared, their votes secured through whatever promises Nathan and Kate had made. Before we begin, I said, my voice steady, I'd like to address the elephant in the room. I turned to face Nathan and Kate directly. How long have you two been involved? The room went silent. Several board members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Nathan's face remained impassive, but Kate, I saw the flicker of something in her eyes. Guilt? Fear? That's hardly relevant to this meeting, Nathan replied smoothly. Oh, but it is. I pulled out a stack of papers from my briefcase. Because while you two were planning your coup, you made some interesting decisions with company resources. Mom, don't, Kate warned, but I continued. Private jet bookings to the Cayman Islands. Hotel reservations under false names. And most interestingly, several large transfers to offshore accounts. I spread the documents across the table. Care to explain? Nathan's composure cracked slightly. Those are personal matters. Using company funds for personal matters is fraud, Nathan. And as your employer and Kate's mother, I have a duty to report it. Kate's face had gone pale. You wouldn't dare. Wouldn't I? I met her gaze steadily. You chose this battlefield, not me. The boardroom erupted into chaos. Questions flew from all directions as Nathan tried to explain away the evidence. But Kate, Kate just stared at me, her expression a mix of hatred and something else. Recognition, perhaps. She was seeing me clearly for the first time, not as her mother, but as an opponent. "This meeting is adjourned," I announced, gathering my papers. "I suggest everyone review their legal positions before we reconvene." I walked out of the room with my head high, but my hands were shaking. In the elevator, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. My phone buzzed, a text from Mia. "How did it go?" Before I could respond, the elevator doors opened to reveal Victoria waiting in the lobby. "Mrs. Miller? There's something you need to see." She led me to her desk and pulled up an email chain on her computer. My heart stopped as I read the messages between Kate and Nathan, dating back months. They weren't just planning to push me out, they were systematically dismantling everything I'd built, piece by piece. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked Victoria. "Because they tried to recruit me," she replied quietly. "They said I had to choose sides. So I did." That evening, I sat in my garden for the first time in years. The roses Thomas had planted before he left were overgrown, wild and beautiful in their neglect. My phone hadn't stopped ringing, board members, lawyers, reporters who'd somehow caught wind of the drama. The garden gate creaked open. Kate stood there, looking younger than her 28 years in the fading light. "You could have warned me," she said. "Like you warned me?" She stepped closer, her voice tight with emotion. "You need to stop this. You have no idea what Nathan is capable of." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean?" "He has information. About Thomas. About why he really left." She wrapped her arms around herself, a gesture so familiar it hurt. "Things you don't want getting out." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. "He's been investigating me? Through you." I didn't mean for it to go this far. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "He said we'd just pressure you to retire. Take over smoothly. But then he found the old records, the discrepancies in the divorce settlement. Get out." My voice was ice. "Mom, please. Get out." I stood up, fury making my vision blur. "You didn't just betray me, Kate. You helped him dig up dirt on your own mother. On your father. Was any of it worth it? Did selling your soul to Nathan make you feel better about your childhood?" She flinched as if I'd slapped her. "At least he sees me as an equal. Not just a project to be managed." After she left, I called Mia. Her voice was calm, anchoring. "Tell me what you need." "I need to understand when I lost her," I whispered. "When did my daughter become someone who could hurt me like this?" Maybe the better question is, when did you stop seeing her pain and start seeing only her potential? The truth of it knocked the breath from my lungs. I'd been so focused on giving Kate everything I never had, success, security, status, that I'd missed what she really needed. A mother who was present. Who listened. Who put connection above achievement. But it was too late for those realizations now. Nathan and Kate had chosen their path, and in doing so, they'd forced me to choose mine. I spent the night reviewing old photos, memories captured in happier times. Kate's first day at her new school. Family vacations before Thomas left. The day we moved into our first real office. Each image a reminder of what I'd gained, what I'd lost, and what I was now fighting to protect. At dawn, I made 3 phone calls. The first to my lawyer, initiating proceedings that would freeze certain company assets. The second to James, our biggest client, arranging an urgent meeting. The third to Diana, my sister, who had always seen what I couldn't. "It's time," I told her. "I need everything you've gathered on Nathan's past dealings." "Are you sure?" she asked. "Once you start this, there's no going back." Not with Kate, not with any of it. I looked at the last family photo we'd taken together, before everything fell apart. They thought they were writing my ending. But they forgot something crucial. What's that? Every great story has a second act. And mine is just beginning. The sun rose over the city, painting the sky in shades of fire. In my garden, the wild roses Thomas had planted continued to bloom, beautiful and untamed, thriving in their abandonment. It seemed fitting somehow. Sometimes the most stunning growth comes after everything has been torn down. I picked up my phone and dialed Victoria's number. "Are you ready?" I asked when she answered. "Yes," she replied without hesitation. "The others are too. We're with you." "Then let's begin." I hung up and opened my laptop, starting to type. To the Board of Directors. Vision Studio Corporation. This letter serves as formal notice of my intention to challenge the current leadership transition and declare my rights as founder and majority shareholder. The war they'd started was about to become a battle they never saw coming. And this time, I wasn't fighting just for myself or my company. I was fighting for every moment I'd missed with Kate, every dinner eaten alone, every school play I'd skipped. I was fighting for the mother I should have been, and the lesson I needed to teach my daughter now. Sometimes the greatest act of love is showing someone exactly how strong you can be when they force your hand. The anonymous envelope arrived at my house on a rainy Thursday morning. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Nathan and Kate at various locations over the past year, but it was the location of one specific photo that made my blood run cold, my father's lake house in Vermont. The place where, 20 years ago, I'd hidden the evidence of the scandal that could have destroyed everything. I immediately called Diana. "Someone's been to the lake house." "That's impossible," she replied. "Only family knows about." She stopped abruptly. "Kate. You told Kate about it last Christmas." The realization hit like a physical blow. My own daughter had led Nathan straight to my darkest secret. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, "Meeting. Tonight. 8 p.m. The lake house. Come alone." I knew it was a trap, but I had no choice. As I drove through the gathering darkness, memories flooded back. The night Thomas discovered the truth. The look in his eyes when he realized what I'd done to protect the company. "You're not the woman I married," he'd said before walking out. The lake house loomed ahead, its windows dark except for a faint light in the study. I parked and took a deep breath, checking that my phone was recording everything. Mia and Diana both knew where I was. If anything happened, they'd know where to look. Nathan was waiting in the study, looking out over the lake. "I wondered if you'd actually come." "Where's Kate?" "On her way. She wanted to be here for this conversation." He turned, holding up an old leather portfolio. My heart stopped. "Interesting reading material you kept here. Especially these documents from 2005. How dare you break in? Steal your secrets?" His smile was cold. "I learned from the best, Lauren. You taught me everything about corporate warfare. Including the importance of having leverage." The sound of another car pulling up outside. Footsteps on the porch. Kate appeared in the doorway, her face pale in the dim light. "Did you find what you were looking for?" I asked her quietly. "Digging through my past?" "I found the truth," she replied. "About what you did to Uncle David's company. How you orchestrated his downfall to save Vision Studio. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," she cut in. "You destroyed your own brother's company to save yours. Family meant nothing to you then, just like it means nothing to you now." "That's not." "Show her," Nathan interrupted, pulling documents from the portfolio. "Show her what else we found." Kate's hands trembled as she held up a yellowed envelope. "We also found these letters from the adoption agency. My real mother, she tried to contact me when I was 15. You kept it from me." The room spun. "I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself." Kate's voice cracked. "She wanted to meet me, to explain why she had to give me up. And you paid her to stay away." Nathan stepped forward, his voice smooth as silk. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over your majority shares to Kate. Transfer full control of Vision Studio. In return, these documents stay buried." I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The hurt in her eyes was raw, decades of pain bubbling to the surface. "Kate, please. Let me explain. It's too late for explanations. She placed a document on the desk. Sign it. Now. My hand hovered over the paper. Everything I'd built, everything I'd sacrificed for, they wanted me to just give it up. But as I reached for the pen, a new sound cut through the tension: footsteps on the porch. Victoria burst into the room, breathless. Mrs. Miller, don't sign anything. I have proof. Nathan's been embezzling funds for months. And Kate. Kate's been helping him cover it up. Nathan moved with startling speed, grabbing the portfolio. This meeting's over. No, I said, my voice steel. It's just beginning. I pulled out my phone, stopping the recording. Everything you both just said? It's been transmitted live to my lawyer. And the police. The sound of sirens in the distance. Kate's face drained of color. You were recording. I learned from the best, remember? You taught me not to trust anyone. The words tasted bitter. Even family. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Nathan lunged for my phone. Kate screamed. Victoria tried to block the door. And in the chaos, the portfolio fell, scattering decades of secrets across the floor. As papers flew everywhere, a single photograph fluttered to my feet. It was from Kate's high school graduation, her smile bright, my arm around her shoulders, both of us full of hope for the future. Before the betrayals. Before the lies. Before we lost each other. The police arrived minutes later, but the real damage was already done. Nathan was led away in handcuffs, his embezzlement scheme now fully exposed. Kate stood in the corner, hugging herself, looking lost. What happens now? She whispered. I picked up the graduation photo, my heart heavy. Now we both face the consequences of our choices. The next few hours were a blur of police statements and legal documents. Diana arrived with our lawyer, helping to sort through the mess. But my eyes kept drifting to Kate, sitting alone by the lake, her silhouette small against the vast darkness. Finally, as dawn began to break, I joined her on the dock. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. About my birth mother. About Uncle David. About any of it. Because I thought I was protecting you. I thought if I could control everything, keep all the painful truths at bay, you'd have the perfect life I never had. I sighed. I was wrong. Yes, she said simply. You were. We sat in silence, watching the sun rise over the lake. The same lake where I'd hidden my secrets, where Kate had unearthed them, where everything had finally come crashing down. I can't forgive you, she said finally. Not yet. I know. And I can't stay. Not after everything. I know that too. She stood up, brushing off her pants. Nathan's going to jail. The board will want answers. Vision Studio. Will survive, I finished. It always has. As Kate walked away, I remained on the dock, thinking about cycles of pain and protection, of secrets and lies, of mothers and daughters. I thought about Thomas, about David, about all the people I'd hurt in my quest to build something unbreakable. My phone buzzed, a message from Mia, coming over with coffee and breakfast. You're not alone in this. The sun climbed higher, burning away the morning mist. In its light, I could see papers still scattered across the lake house lawn, evidence of all my past sins, now exposed to the world. But somehow, in the harsh light of day, they seemed less damning. Just remnants of an old story, making way for a new one. I stood up, ready to face whatever came next. Because that's what survival looks like, not running from your mistakes, but standing in their wreckage and choosing to rebuild anyway. Breaking news, former Vision Studio executive Nathan Pierce attempts escape during prison transfer. I lowered my morning paper, a cold smile playing at my lips. 3 months into his 7-year sentence, and Nathan had tried to run. The article detailed how he'd attempted to bribe a guard, only to be caught and transferred to a maximum security facility. Did you see this? Victoria placed a tabloid on my desk. The headline screamed, Disgraced heiress Kate Miller caught in London scandal. The photos showed my former daughter being escorted from an exclusive club, obviously intoxicated, screaming at the paparazzi. She's burned through most of her escape money, Victoria continued. The London fashion startup she tried to launch failed spectacularly. 3 major investors are suing her for fraud. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I felt something closer to pity. But that emotion was quickly tested when my phone rang, a London number. "Hello, Mother." Kate's voice was ragged, desperate. "I need your help. The last time I helped you, you tried to destroy me. Please," she begged. "They're going to press charges. I just need enough to pay back the investors. 2 million. I'll sign whatever you want. Goodbye, Kate." "Wait. I'll tell the press everything. About Uncle David, about the lake house." I laughed, genuinely amused. "Go ahead. Those secrets don't control me anymore. But you might want to consider how much prison time investment fraud carries in the UK." The line went dead. A week later, Nathan made his final play. Somehow, he'd managed to get a message to the press, claiming he had evidence that I'd manipulated company records years ago. He offered to trade this evidence for a reduced sentence. I called a press conference immediately. Standing before the cameras, I laid out every decision I'd made in my career, the good, the bad, the questionable. "Mr. Pierce thinks he can blackmail me with my past," I concluded. "But I've learned that secrets only have power when you try to hide them." The media frenzy that followed destroyed what was left of Nathan's credibility. His evidence turned out to be fabricated, adding another year to his sentence. 2 months later, I received a package from London. Inside was Kate's prison intake form. 3 years for investment fraud. Her scrawled message read, "I hope you're happy now." I placed the form in my desk drawer, next to the last family photo we'd taken together. "No, Kate," I whispered. "Just free." That evening, as I left the office, a distinguished-looking man held the elevator door for me. "Long day?" he asked, noticing my distracted expression. "Long year," I replied, managing a small smile. "I'm James," he introduced himself. "I actually have a proposition for you about collaborating on a youth mentorship program." I found myself saying yes to coffee, not knowing this moment would be the beginning of something unexpected and wonderful. But that's another story. The real story ended where it began, with betrayal and its consequences. Nathan, who thought he could outsmart everyone, now spent his days in a maximum security cell, his attempted escape and blackmail adding 6 years to his sentence. His expensive suits replaced by prison orange, his arrogance broken by the reality of his choices. Kate, who thought she could replicate my success without understanding its foundations, faced her own prison term in London. Her beauty and charm, once her weapons, meant nothing in the harsh reality of incarceration. The last photo I saw of her showed a woman I barely recognized, hollow-eyed, haunted by her own choices. Victoria placed the latest company reports on my desk. Vision Studio had doubled its value since the scandal. "They never understood, did they?" she mused. "Success isn't about quick wins or clever schemes." "No," I agreed, looking at the scene below my office window. The city stretched out, beautiful and unforgiving, a testament to survival and consequence. It's about building something that lasts. Something real. That evening, as I sat in my garden watching the sunset, my phone buzzed with a news alert: Nathan Pierce denied early release appeal. Another buzz: London fashion startup scandal, Kate Miller begins prison term. I switched off my phone, listening to the quiet. The roses Thomas had planted years ago were blooming again, stronger than ever. Sometimes life's greatest victories come not from what you gain, but from what you survive. And sometimes, just sometimes, karma does its job perfectly. I smiled, picking up my phone again to confirm my coffee meeting with James tomorrow. After all, the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living freely, unburdened by those who tried to cage you with their own limitations. Nathan and Kate had tried to write my ending. Instead, they'd written their own.